during the course of this trial, you will hear that first call that Cindy Anthony made to the Orlando Police Department. She wants her daughter arrested. The dispatcher from the Orlando Police Department is trying to determine if there is a crime that's been committed and where that crime has occurred. So in making this inquiry, it is determined that the address on Hope Spring Drive, where the Anthonys live, is actually within the jurisdiction of the Orange County Sheriff, not the Orlando Police Department. And they give Cindy Anthony a choice about whether or not she wants to wait on the side of the road for a deputy to show up or go back to her house and make another call, and she chooses the latter. During this exchange, and while there is some dead air between the dispatcher and Cindy Anthony, you can hear Cindy Anthony threatening to take Kaylee away from Casey Anthony. And Casey Anthony asked her for one more day. You will learn that during this exchange, George Anthony, who's been apprised of some of this, not all of it, some of it, calls Lee Anthony, Casey's older brother, and says, "You need to get to the house." So Lee Anthony, who lives in the area, arrives at the house on Hope Spring Drive just before Cindy and Casey Anthony. And as they pull up, they get out, they rush in, he gets no information. There's the car in the garage. He notices himself that there is an overpowering smell, indescribable smell associated with that car. And as they all rush in the house, Cindy Anthony basically tells Lee to get information from your sister. She's not telling me anything. I want her to take me to Kaylee now. Shortly thereafter, Cindy Anthony makes her second 911 call, which you will hear. This time, it goes to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And she again talks about having her daughter arrested and mentions at that time a possible missing 3-year-old. The dispatcher, in trying to get some information, elicits from Cindy Anthony that her daughter, Casey, will not tell her where Kaylee is. So when patrol units of the Orange County Sheriff's Office are initially dispatched to this call, they're unsure whether or not this is a stolen vehicle call. Is this some other theft call? Is this a domestic incident? Because while Cindy Anthony is waiting, and it does take a while for the sheriff's office to arrive, based on the priority levels that they give calls, Lee Anthony is talking to Casey Anthony, who is now in her room. And Lee Anthony is trying to convince Casey Anthony to just take Mom, Cindy, to Kaylee. What's the problem? This is going to happen anyway. Why are you doing this? To the point where Lee Anthony eventually engages in what can only be termed as a role-playing episode with his sister, where Lee Anthony pretends to be the police officer and says, "Miss Anthony, good evening. I see that you're having a problem here with your mother. Why don't we just resolve this? You take us to the child and everything will be fine. We'll all go home. We'll all be happy."
Let's stop for a moment. It's been going for about an hour and a half. Let jurors take a break. We're going to take a recess. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute recess at this time. I'm going to ask you not to discuss this case among yourselves nor with anyone else. Please remember all of my previous admonitions. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes. You may be seated. Okay, let the record reflect that the defendant is present along with counsel for the defendant, assistant state attorney. At noon, we're stopping for lunch, so whoever is up, or if you're up, we're stopping for lunch at noon. Okay, let's return to jury. How long? Okay. Let's return to jury. We may go to lunch early. We may go early, depending on what she takes. Okay, state recognized person's jury. That's the defense. Members of the jury, did you heed all my previous admonitions? Ms. Burdick, you may continue.